Evening, welcome to the Toon Review, where tonight we are reviewing the Newcastle United versus Manchester City game last night at St James's Park. Paul cannot be with us for apparently he can't get on because of internet. So it's just myself and Stato tonight. How are you, Stato?
Still recovering mentally after that annoying loss yesterday, as I'm sure everyone is.
Absolutely, yeah. It was a heartbreaking moment, but we've had a few of them. We should be used to it by now. You know, it's not the first time it's happened. Let's see if we can find some team lineups. There was our team lineup from yesterday. It was the tried and tested kind of team. Dubravka, Trippier, Share, Botman, Byrne, Bruno, Longstaff, and Miley, Almiron, Gordon, and Isak. On the bench, there was no Livramento. He pulled out with illness. It was Karius, Gillespie, Dummett, Lascelles, Ritchie, Kraft, Hall, Alex Murphy, and Parkinson. A few questions about the bench, Alex. I mean, two goalkeepers again, and 1, 2, 3, 4 defenders, 5 defenders. Now, there's no one God's earth Alex Murphy's getting on the pitch, is there? So why didn't he pick a midfield player from the youth team or some with a few legs just to fill it out, just in case we needed it? Do you think that's a fair thing to say?
Well, I mean, we've already plucked one from the academy in Miley, so I mean, you can't be very confident if you're a 16, 17-year-old in the academy setup and you're playing the midfield. You this can't be filling you with loads of confidence. The fact that you may, maybe not even touted for a match day squad or an appearance on the bench, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to play, but maybe there's just not enough quality there. I would assume it's the right decision. We're just going to have to trust that. But it is a terrible bench, and we will definitely obviously get onto the game in more detail, but I think the bench is one of the reasons why we didn't win or at least draw that game.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And the Man City lineup, well, it's a world-class lineup, as we all know. Ederson started the game, of course, he went off pretty early. Walker, the captain, Diaz, Ake, Gvardiol, Rodri, Kovacic, Bernardo Silva, Foden, Jeremy Doku, and Alvarez. And their bench compared to ours, Ortega Moreno, that's his name, Phillips, Grealish, De Bruyne, Gomez, Nunez, Bob, Susaho, and Lewis. Obviously, a quality bench to add to a quality first team lineup, and that's the difference between the two sides, I would say. Do you think?
Yeah, it's the bench. It's purely the bench. I mean, we looked a lot better physically in the last two games. We matched them. However, we all know what happened in that second half in terms of they upped it a gear in terms of ball retention and trying to work the chance and trying to be a bit more intricate. They brought De Bruyne on. That's hard to say. And we didn't have anything else. And, if people want to criticize or disagree with that, I mean, Anthony Gordon referenced it in his press conference. So the players agree that once the legs are gone, they can't necessarily chase the game as they want to do it. They don't want to drop deeper. It just naturally happens as the game goes on and as they bring fresher legs on. If we could bring on 5 good quality fresh players, that obviously that doesn't happen. But it is what it is. We had to try a different tactic, and they just had to try and focus and do what they could, counter where possible, be careful. And it's not enough. And it's one of those. It's happened to us quite a few times this season where if you switch off once, you lose the game. It doesn't matter if you've kept switched on for 15 dangerous situations, but then you switch off for the one that the ball goes in the net. Well, it's all for nothing, and it's frustrating for all of them.
Yeah, I agree. Let's do a few comments. Noel says, onwards and upwards, nice break before the next game. Can't wait for us to get some players back so we can properly judge Eddie with some forward options on the bench. Do you think you should have made changes earlier anyway? Do you think, Gordon and Isak for 2. I mean, they were the most obvious ones I could think of. They literally couldn't move after 60, 70, 65 minutes, could they? So just any legs coming on, would that help, do you think?
I mean, this is the debate, isn't it? And it's something that the journalists need to ask, because it's something we mentioned in the PSG game, all the way back to that second PSG game, right the way up to now. We're still having this conversation. Is it not worth Ben Parkinson coming on for 20 minutes and pressing? What damage could that do? Why is that not being used as an option? And the journalists need to ask him that, because it's a fair question, and it's something that we kind of want to know. Is understandably, you don't want to be bringing on maybe Alex Murphy late doors. You don't want to shatter his confidence. He's young. He needs to learn his trade. But with a forward, if you lose the ball in the opposition half as a striker, I mean, it's not terrible. It happens. It's acceptable. We just need to. The journalists need to ask Eddie, why are we not bringing on sort of Diallo, Parkinson? We've got players floating around in the youth setup that have made bench appearances and were used in pre-season. Can we not just throw them up front to chase the ball for 15 minutes? And if not, why? If they're not good enough for it, why are they on the bench at all? What's the point?
I think it's a fair question to ask. I've got to say. I mean, we've been asking it for a while, haven't we? Ever since the PSG away game, where we saw he's not able to even walk for part of the game, and yeah, it was a tough one to lose, and inevitably we conceded the goal. It wasn't just at the time, obviously, the PSG one, but the same sort of pattern's been happening again and again, hasn't it? And Noel Powell says the Lassies put up a good show today, unfortunately to lose by 5, but just could see the difference in quality. They're not far off. Saw a bit of the game. Yeah, they did defend pretty well. Never really gave Mary ups or the goalkeeper any problems for Man United. But yeah, again, golfing classes now with international footballers playing against, they may be full time, but they're not playing against the quality of opposition that they do. Manchester United do they? So valiant effort from the girls. I've got to say.
I think Man United are 2 leagues above them, aren't they? So yeah. I mean, it happens.
Absolutely. Nathan says, hard one to take yesterday. Quite proud of the fight they showed. Kevin De Bruyne is an unbelievable player. One of a lifetime. Yeah, I agree with that. And Tom says, pretty much what you said. Any options off the bench, and we take something from that game. I agree. I agree with that too. When they're bringing De Bruyne on and we're bringing, one sub. Oscar Bob came on as well as a youngster, but he came on and did a job from 2. Let's go through the game, though. It started off a strange way. I mean, there was an obvious offside that the linesman didn't flag for. Ball got across. Longstaff put it in. In the process, he's put his boot, not wrongly, it's not a foul at all, into Edison's kind of knee area and injured him. Now, that rule's got to change, hasn't it? If they're obviously offside, the linesman's got to flag, surely.
Well, he did it a few times yesterday where he kept it down, but then there were certain ones where he was very offside when he flagged straight away, fine. But there was some where it was marginal, where I wish he needs to keep his flag down sometimes.
Yeah.
It was all right. I wasn't too fussed about the linesman. I was more concerned about the actual referee. I thought the officiating in terms of the referee's performance was poor. I don't think the linesman got anything wrong. I was fairly happy with the linesman's performance. Referee was shocking, though.
Yeah, it wasn't good. After that, Man City we had another chance. Actually, while Edison was still on the pitch, they passed the ball straight back to him, even though he could hardly walk. And he got caught out, of course. And Miggy managed to manufacture a chance of Bruno, but the ball just slipped away from his foot. He couldn't get full contact on it. And we probably should have scored from that, but we didn't, did we? It was a strange Man City to pass the ball back to an injured bloke, I thought, though. It was a very odd thing to do.
They got full confidence in it. It's probably just something that's been drilled into them mentally. It's a habit. But I felt like we were good for more than 2 goals yesterday. We had a couple of opportunities that we squandered. Fine, it doesn't count towards XG and shots. However, there were certain scrambles that we didn't take advantage of where we could have really put a goal in, especially early doors when Bruno and Miggy got their wires crossed. That really should have been a goal. We should have capitalised on that.
Yeah, it should have, definitely. But after that, Man City did take control of the game. There was a dubious part of the goal when Anthony Gordon pushed the ball past Diaz on the left flank, was running past the outside of him, was obviously going to beat him for pace to the back to the ball. And Diaz just blatantly manhandled him off the pitch onto the floor. And the referee played on. And 20, 30 seconds later, they exploit the space down that side. Kyle Walker gets a cross in. Bernardo Silva with a beautiful little flick between his kind of back flick between his legs into the far corner of the net. It was a great goal, but dubious to say the least, wasn't it? It was a blatant foul on Gordon.
Oh, in my opinion, 100% a foul. He's knocked it past him, and it looks like they've both kind of been forced 2 to 3 meters left of the trajectory of the ball, of where the ball was going. Now, if the defender is having to move that far away from where the ball's ending up, you're playing the man, not the ball. And I think any situation on the football pitch, if you're playing the man but not the ball, it's a foul. You need to be going for the ball. And It's probably going to be a few people disagree with that, but I even think in shielding, certain situations of shielding and body blocks where you're making no effort to play the ball could be 1 meter, 2 meters in front of you, and you're sort of shielding because you kind of are in control of it, but kind of not. Play the ball. Just play the ball. I don't like this old, I'm not technically good enough, so I'm just going to sit 2 meters off and be a bully. It's football, it's not rugby. And I want people to be playing the ball, whether you're a defender or an attacker. It doesn't matter. You play the ball, not the man. Unless you're going in for a 50-50, whether it's an aerial duel or you're both going in for a tackle, cool. But in that situation, it's fine. You're both trying to play the ball, which is, you can still have physicality and strength in traditional football and that hard element of the game, but you both need to be going for the ball. You shouldn't be playing the man in this day and age. And that's just my opinion. So I'm sure people will disagree.
Java Bob's opinion is, I suppose it's a valid one, I guess. So, it looks like he's going out on loan to the Championship, but I think Hayden needs to be on the bench. At least he's an option to come on better than 2 keepers. He's on his way out.
No,
isn't he?
The issue is with that is if he plays for us, then he can't go out on loan to anyone else. So if we use him for a match or 2 matches, and he plays any minutes, he can't play for 3 clubs in the same season. So if we then once we get everybody back I was going to say once we get everybody back at the end of January, that doesn't look like it's super likely now. But once players do start to return and we fob Hayden off again and we don't use him, we can't loan him out. He can't play for 3 clubs in a year. So, that's the answer to that. If they want to loan him out, they won't use him. It's literally that simple.
So City were 1 up. It looked like we were looking down the barrel, but a strange situation happened. Kind of a strange period of about 5 or 6 minutes where 2 fantastic goals were scored, both by Newcastle United. The first one came from a terrific tackle from Fabian Schär on the right flank, won the ball, fed it into Bruno. First time he pumped it over the top for Isak to come in. Thought he took a heavy touch, but he hadn't. He cut inside and then bent it to the far corner. It was an absolute fantastic goal, Stato.
Yeah, you very much enjoyed Fabian Schär's build-up in that. I agree, it was excellent, but I think my favourite bit was probably Bruno's pass. But for somebody who is largely considered a defensive midfielder, whatever his position is going to be, I think every week that goes by, I think it's more and more evident he's a central midfielder / attacking midfielder. He's just very good at retaining the ball and dealing with pressure. He's not an out-and-out 6. But that first-time pass over to Isak, and he'd scanned it. He knew it was there. It was just outrageous. The assist there from Bruno was outrageous. But Isak still had a lot to do. He'd still got to get past defenders. He'd got to open up the angle. He'd got to get the shot. He'd got to get it past Ederson. So there was loads for Isak still to do. And he did all of it. So it was a brilliant goal all around, that first goal. It was a great team goal. Well worked from back to front.
Yeah, my favourite goal of the season, I think, so far. The tackle, the pass, the finish. Kyle Walker didn't learn his lesson because a matter of 2 or 3 minutes after, the ball ends up with Anthony Gordon down the left flank. Walker stands off him. Gordon cuts in the side. Needs no further invitation. He bends it into the far corner, exactly the same place as Isak could put it. And Newcastle have a 2-1 lead, Stato.
Yeah, I don't know what Kyle Walker was thinking there. He has a shocker whenever he comes to St James's Park. He got absolutely destroyed by Maxi the last time. And now we've swapped left wingers to a completely new one in Anthony Gordon, and he struggled against Gordon as well. Unfortunately, there weren't as many foot races as I'd have liked. That would have been a more interesting spectacle had we seen them try to release. I was hoping for some sort of Fabian Schär long balls, that sort of side, so we could see Gordon versus Walker, but I think they were set up to try and avoid that. Although they did have a high line, so I would have liked to have seen more of that. Trippier and Schär playing balls over for Gordon to chase, foot race against Kyle Walker. But yeah, the actual goal, I don't know what Kyle Walker was doing there. I think he was fully expecting a cutback or a cross, or for him to maybe make a beeline for the byline, whatever. And he stood off him. He dangled a leg out quite lazily, in my opinion, and Gordon bent it beautifully into the back corner, and it was a well worked goal from him. It was, he still had to put in a good finish, but he was definitely helped by Kyle Walker being quite poor for, which is unusual for him. But it was a great response from Isak and Gordon, who have been hyper clinical, both of them. Isak on 10 goals now for the season. Gordon, I think, is on 7 goals, 5 assists. So that's 12 goal contributions from 20-ish appearances, which is outrageous. He's not even a forward in theory. We're playing on the wing most of the time, and we're giving him loads of defensive responsibilities on top of that. So 12 goal contributions at this point is outrageous. Like, I don't know. There's been loads of articles today. I don't know if you've seen them, Billy, about everybody's obviously hyping up Cole Palmer, and you've got Anthony Gordon doing. Cole Palmer's got 5 goals from penalties. Gordon doesn't take penalties. Gordon really needs to get a little bit more credit from the general public and the neutrals, because he's been incredible.
I couldn't agree more. We managed to get through to half time without any further issues or goals or anything like that. We were all hoping we could get to the goal second half at half time during our half time chat. And that was what we really needed, was another goal, wasn't it? We were right in what we were saying at half time yesterday. Because the second half came. Sean asked this question. He says, why, with a week off since our last game, why were we knackered after 70 minutes? Well, chasing the ball for the most of the game, 73% possession against you. You're chasing the ball for a lot of it. You get more tired without the ball than what you do with it. Simple as that. And it's that.
Yeah, I mean, if you want an explanation, go and watch Anthony Gordon's press conference. Well, his interview, sorry, not press conference. Yeah. Playing against the best team in the world, they turned it on in the second half. We'd matched them first half. We tried to match them as best as we could. And we did pretty well, all things considered, without sort of your Tonali's, Joelintons, Willocks. We still matched them fairly well and put 2 past them. We did great. Second half, they had more of the ball. They switched it on a bit more. Peter Griffin there is literally just taking it right out of words right out of my mouth. Yeah, chasing the ball makes you more tired. You do have to get back in shape. You have to focus more. You have to chase things down. You have to chase things. As they switch it over to one side, you've got to chase that down as if it's going to be an opportunity from them. You have to honor every ball that they play as if it's going to be attacked, and it takes more out of you. It is what it is. Anthony Gordon said it in the interview. It's what we've always said, that they're not trying to drop down as deep as that. I think they have a rigid shape and they want to counter. They want to play a bit more. And you can just see it gradually get worse and worse. It's not, I think a lot of people say we just defended a lead. I don't agree with that at all. I think we tried. We tried to shore up the midfield. We tried to block the space. And the problem is we've got people who are a little bit ill-disciplined. There were a few of the tactics people on Twitter talking about it, and they're kind of not wrong. We've got people in midfield who step out too often. Miley and Longstaff were stepping out maybe when they didn't need to. Bruno sometimes gets caught a little bit too high up. Joelinton can be guilty of the same sometimes when he plays as well. We don't have anybody that's mindset is, where's the back four? Am I in the right place? They all get caught pressing a bit too much, and that's where everybody's highlighted that De Bruyne second goal. It is literally, they all pressed at the same time. All 3 of our midfielders stepped, and De Bruyne is just in a massive hole. It's what it is.
Indeedy. The second half started as we expected. Man City did put the foot down. They tried to break us down, but they were frustrated by their efforts, really, because we were defended pretty well. Never looked like really giving us any trouble, really, with Dubravka. However, when they brought Kevin De Bruyne on for Bernardo after about 63 minutes, wasn't it? When he came on, it all changed within 5 minutes from being on the pitch, didn't it? What a player he is.
Sorry, I was just reading comments. Who are we talking about?
KDB, Kevin De Bruyne.
Oh, we are talking about KDB.
Because they were starting to look a bit frustrated, I thought. I thought they were arguing over everything. They were moaning.
They were.
Whinging.
We had them. We absolutely had them completely. They weren't going to win that game without Kevin De Bruyne. Not a chance. Their heads had gone. De Bruyne changed the entire game. He's one of the best midfielders on the planet for a reason. He's better than everyone. He was popping up on the right wing, left wing, midfield. It was purely, he just does everything in slow motion. Even the commentary, I was listening to dual commentary. They mentioned that it looked like there was more than one Kevin De Bruyne on the field, even though he was and he meanders as well. He meanders, he jogs. He doesn't burst around. He was fairly slow with his movement, but it just looked like there was 3 of him on the pitch. He was everywhere. He's just a world-class player. There's a few people talking about our passing and Eddie Howe's tactics and stuff. I could just completely disagree with a few people in the chat talking about that. It's to do with the personnel available. You're saying that our passing's not improved since Eddie Howe's been hired. That's nonsense, mate. Absolute nonsense. When you've got a 17-year-old and Longstaff in midfield, there are limitations to the personnel on the field, and it is what it is. When we've got higher technical level players available, we can retain more of the ball and pass better. That's literally just all it is. That's all it is.
We do have a super chat from Ian Morgan. He says, although we lost yesterday, I think it was a better performance. I think you're right. I think he's right in what he says there. I think we did show for the game. I think that you can fault our desire or efforts to win the game. But apart from that, yeah, he's bang on. Tom says, terrible decisions. Gordon taking clean out, play on exactly for the first goal. Anyone could look a champion if you don't tackle them, invite them in. There was a pocket of space that they exploited a few times, wasn't there, in between the back four and the midfield, as you just alluded to there, actually. And that's where their goal came from. Kevin De Bruyne stepped into that pocket, had a bit of space to run into. I was surprised Fabian Schär didn't come out and try and confront him, but he didn't. He just stood, he backed off a little tiny bit. Kevin De Bruyne hit it with the outside of his right foot, which he looked like a left foot shot all day long. Hit it with his right foot to the bottom corner. Terrific finish, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've just talked about it a minute ago. I felt like Eddie Howe's in-game management was correct for that game. He tried to limit the space in the midfield. He tried to make those three in midfield play closer together, to drop off when necessary, to press when necessary. He tried to limit that space. It was identified. He passed the instruction on. It was coached. He did his job as the manager, and the coaching staff did the same thing. They all stepped up at the wrong time. De Bruyne found the space. It happens. They didn't do it on purpose. They are aware that they need to protect that space. They made a mistake. It's a football game. Like, they're not stupid. They know what their job is. But De Bruyne is amazing. Like, it happens. And we just need to recruit players that have that knack, and we will do. We can't replace, of a 30-man squad, we can't recycle the whole lot in 2 years. Like, that's why the dregs of our team is Gillespie, Richie, Dummett. Like, we just don't have the extra people. It's just not. It's fine. It's not a problem. It will take time. It came in and they said it will be 5 to 10 years. It's been 2. We've got 9 players unavailable, including the Tonali suspension. Of course, this was going to happen. We're missing most of our important midfielders in Tonali, Joe Linton, Willock. Like, Willock's rapid, great at recovery runs. Joe Linton, although does sometimes step up a bit too much, but those midfield options, and we win that game. Not draw it, we win that game, 100%.
Right. So does anyone else think it was wrong that a foul happened? Then Kevin De Bruyne was brought on, and the first thing he did was take the free kick. Sure, that's not allowed, as he wasn't on the pitch when it happened. The only thing I can refer you to is Tim Krul for Holland in the World Cup in 2014. Didn't play a minute of the game and came off a penalty shootout, didn't he? Mm-hmm. So you can do that. That's the law, isn't it? Yeah. Chris says, how do Toon of you lads? We were beaten by the best and one of the best players the Premier League has ever seen in Kevin De Bruyne. That DM is needed 100%, but I was proud of the lads. If you play like that against the lesser sides, equals wins. Yeah, I think we all agree with that, don't we?
100%.
So after the equaliser, we really were under the cosh then. As we've already said, Gordon and Isak were absolutely spent up front. There was no getting out. We couldn't get away from our goal. Constant pressure, like the Alamo. And it was inevitable, really, that even going into injury time, we never thought we'd weather the storm. And Kevin De Bruyne got on the ball again, played the ball over the top of Trippier, who was trying to play half offside, half not. Oscar Bob took the ball down fantastically, cut inside, and kind of went outside and inside Dubravka at the same time to put the ball in the back of the net. It was a great finish and a heartbreaking moment for us right at the end.
I mean, you've summed it up perfectly. I don't know if he was trying to play the offside trap. I think he was trying to play it, and then kind of thought that in that split second moment, he knew it was probably onside, so he followed him, and then Oscar Bob just really, really tidy technical footwork. Some people say Dubravka. I think you said Dubravka possibly could have done better.
Yeah, I think Dubravka
the footwork from that. I mean, I think that's harsh. I think the footwork from Oscar Bob there was really, really solid. I don't think Pope saves that either. I don't know.
I think if if it's on your front foot, then you haven't got to go out with your feet to try and stop it. You can go out with your hands and just grab it. Whereas Dubravka ended up going with his feet and he was never going to win the ball. But the fact he took a step backwards first, it kind of hindered him. That's what I thought.
I think most keepers in the Premier League, they don't save that.
We've got a 6 months membership for Sean McEwen. He said, proud of lads yesterday and the lasses today. I think a few more signings will be up there. Kevin De Bruyne is just a different breed of player. Yeah, can't argue with that. Sean Taylor says Bruno should be an 8. I think we all agree with that. Absolutely. PL Vic says Dubravka got a good game, but he should have been near Trippier when that ball came in. That's what I just said. Crowtail said people can only just judge Eddie after the end of next season. Bruno might have to go for 100 million for us to spend. Potentially. We shall see what happens. Of course, we've got prize money to come as well, haven't we? We've got Premier League prize money. So the higher up table we get, the more money we get. The Champions League money comes in, sponsorship money. So it might not be as important to
I mean,
some players.
We were talking about it yesterday on the podcast. I think it's important to say what I said then is I think it's important we get some kind of European football.
Yeah.
Whether it doesn't matter. Well, it does matter if it's Champions League or not, obviously. But even if it's conference, it's still helpful because we need to learn how to play this many games a season consistently. The whole squad needs to get experience of it. And whether it's conference, standard Europa League or the Champions League, we need the whole squad to understand. And it will be good for the coaching staff. It will be good for the entire squad. It will be good for all aspects of the club to just consistently be playing European football year on year, regardless of the level for now, just to make sure we can, we've got a squad that can actually perform. And hopefully we'll do a lot better in it next year, regardless of what competition it is.
Indeed. Right, I guess what we do now is the team marks for the players. So get your marks in, guys. What do you think the players out of 10 deserve? First player on the list, of course, is Martin Dubravka. Stato.
That's a tricky one. I need to get the game up. I mean, just going by memory and my heart from what he performed how he performed in that game. First goal was outrageous from Silva. I don't think anyone's saving that. That's a ridiculous goal. What else do we have? The second goal. I kind of in real time, I'm a little bit annoyed that Dubravka didn't get close to De Bruyne's shot. However, he really did. I don't think anybody was expecting him to strike it from there, and he placed it so well. I mean, he's conceded 3, so I feel like I can't give him a good mark, but he did make a lot of really good saves. It's a really difficult one because I'll go for a 7. I'll keep it middle of the park-ish. Yeah, so I'll go for 7 because he did well, but I think he's conceded 3 goals. So
Carl Muir has been a member for 6 months. He said, I think if he was to sell Bruno, it would massively affect Big Joe. I think you may be right. I think that's a fair point to say that, actually. Dubravka, for me, yeah, he made some fantastic saves. He really did. He's always been a good shot stopper.
On Big Joe, by the way, just if any of those rumours are true, I don't know if they are or aren't about Joe Linton's home invasion. Yes, if it's true, then obviously I'm sure everyone agrees that we hope everybody's okay in that because it was a horrible situation.
Yeah. Anyway, Dubravka, yeah, he's a great shot stopper. We all know that. I do think he should have bet on the 3rd. I really do. But I will give him he's let 3 in. I'll give him a 7 as well. I think that's fair to give him that because he did make some really good saves as well. Kieran Trippier, another hard one to gauge. Stato.
Yeah, that is a horrible one to gauge. It's difficult because it's almost like the recency bias because all I'm thinking about is the mistake at the end. Whereas we need to kind of put into context the entire game and assess him on that. I mean, he did some great stuff early doors. Really, really good anticipation of passing lanes. He intercepted a few really, really clever balls. Really, really solid in that regard. But the mistake, I mean, it's not a mistake. It's not as much of a howler as some of the other ones were. It's purely the offside line. I'm still going to give him a reasonable mark. I'm going to give him a 7. Because if he'd have like skewed the ball the wrong way and made a huge error, that's really bad. But he just didn't play the offside line. Everybody makes a mistake with the offside line sometimes. So I'll give him a 7.
Yeah, it's his only mistake of the whole game, I think. Apart from that, he's been exemplary, and unfortunately for us, it's cost us the game. Well, cost us a point. Yeah, I think 7's fair. I think 7's fair because apart from the mistake, he was brilliant. And had he not made that mistake, we were looking at a 9 for him. So, skipping across to the left-hand side of defence, Dan Burnstow.
I don't think Dan Burn actually did too bad. It wasn't amazing, but it was one of those where I felt like they should have maybe tried to play Burn a bit more. They should have tried to target him a lot more often than they did. Same with Sunderland. I don't know why teams have just kind of forgotten to target Burn a bit more. But he wasn't great. Like, he's not the greatest out ball. Like, Trippier is a great out ball because he's technical. He retains it. He can. Whereas Burn, when Dubs goes out left to Burn, I'm never confident that the ball's going to be retained. I don't know. I think I'm going to give him a 5. I'm going to go middle of the park. I don't think he earned enough points to move up from a 5. Because he did get beat a few times. I mean, 2 out of 7 ground duels irritates me considering how big he is.
Yeah.
But he won 6 out of 7 aerial. I don't know which one he lost because I don't know how you're losing ground duels when you're that aerial duels. But yeah, I'll give him a 5, middle of the park.
Okay. I do kind of partly blame him for the first because I mean there was plenty enough time for him to get into position for that from the where the space was. He was way too far in field for me for the first goal. But apart from that, he didn't really get skinned as such, did he?
I think if Jeremy Doku was a right winger, we'd have been absolutely mullered.
Yes, I agree. I couldn't agree more. Does he get the assist for the Gordon goal? I guess he does, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, Ian makes a good point. That was a good example of him doing well, but it's few and far between that happens. I think Gordon did a lot himself, but it was a good ball. It was a solid ball into space. It's the right ball.
Yeah, I think I'll give him a 6. I think I'll go with a 6. Centre halves now, Fabian Schär, Stato.
Fabian Schär. I don't think he wasn't at fault for the first. The second was De Bruyne's. Could he have stepped out? Possibly. And then the third, I don't think he gets anywhere near that anyway. So I don't think he's too much responsible for the things that we conceded. He was solid in possession. He was strong. He helped with that first goal. Only 2 accurate long balls, but again, it was a tough game. I'm going to give Fabian an 8. I thought he was solid. I really liked it, and I liked all of the. I like the banner for him. That was really nice. 3 out of 3 aerial duels as well. Solid physically. Yeah, a few people on Twitter have said great week for Fabian. I mean, it is. Yeah, he got a new contract. He got the banner out, and it was a good performance from him, to be fair.
Yeah, I thought he had an excellent game. Just a minor quibble about the second goal, De Bruyne's goal. He could have come out and maybe try to get a block on, but didn't. But I mean, he couldn't have expected what De Bruyne was going to do, especially with his right foot. So yeah, instrumental in the first goal as well. The Isak goal. Defended really solidly, made some great tackles, some great clearances, and some great passes. So I'll give him an 8. Yeah, I think you're right. Sven Botman, Stato.
I'm going to give him an 8 as well.
Yeah.
And in terms of, again, it's another one of those situations where the centre halves aren't the reasons we've conceded goals. It's been in the last sort of month. It's been either Trippier making a mistake, or it's been the midfield has been bypassed. And at that point, is it really the centre halves' fault when they've got everyone running at them? It's tricky. I'm going to go with Botman an 8. I thought again he's a Terminator. 91% pass accuracy again. He just stands there and he's flawless. He was built in a laboratory. He's not a real person. He's a robot. He also caught Jeremy Doku up, which is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I'm going to say it again. It's ridiculous. When we signed him, all the talk was he's not fast enough. I don't know if he's going to be fast enough for the Premier League. He caught Jeremy Doku up in a recovery run. He's fine. He's absolutely fine. The man is a freak. I hope he stays here for another 10 years. He's very much underrated. Everybody's talking about Saliba and Van Dijk and Sven Botman just kind of floating under the radar, which hopefully keeps teams away from him. I want Botman to stay for another 10 years because he's amazing. He's so good.
He is. Yano's asking a question that I've thought about, actually. Question. Could we make a deal with another club where we buy one of their players for 20 million, they buy one of our players for 20 million, or it'd give both clubs the opportunity to spend 100 million to get around FFP?
I don't know. That'd be, you'd have to go deep into the legislation and how things are actually worded as to whether that's naughty or not. I don't think we know. Well, we probably do. We've probably got access to.
I think people do it.
I mean, in my personal opinion, a few people have mentioned it in the chat tonight. I don't know why we're not using the loan market for the foreign loan market. We've had it approved. I don't know why we don't use it. Short term, 6 months. Get some help. We just need some help. We need an extra body that's reasonably technical. As long as he's, on sort of level with Longstaff-ish with a bit of technical quality. It doesn't have to be outrageous, just an extra body that's not. It means we don't have to put 2 goalkeepers on the bench. Just something, anything.
I agree. I think we're not using our loaves really to get around the problems that we've got. I mean, it doesn't have to cost an awful lot of money.
So sometimes you can get loans in. We don't pay anything.
You can, yeah.
You can get free loans in. You can get loans where we can offer to pay half of the wages or a little bit. Or there's got to be something floating around, surely.
Anyway, Sven Botman, I'm going to give him a 9. I thought it was absolutely phenomenal yesterday. Again, it's just a constant now. It's. I agree with you. I think the lad is a $6 million man. I think he's unbelievable. The things he does on that pitch, his passing, his defending. He isn't slow at all, as we saw, as you said, when he caught Doku up. Despite him being on the turn as well, and Doku was winning straight. He's phenomenal. The first goal, you can't expect Bernardo Silva to do that. So he actually had him marked pretty well. But for that little flick, I mean, he's going to catch every centre half in the world out with that. So 9 for me for Botman. Into the midfield, we'll start with the number 6, Bruno.
I mean, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start him at a 10, and then I'm going to reduce points for things he did wrong. Needless yellow card. Stupid. Meant he couldn't do any tactical fouling for the rest of the match. So it's down to a 9. And then stepping up too many times when it wasn't necessary and leaving the space in behind that ultimately led to De Bruyne's second goal. It wasn't solely his fault because there were 3 midfielders there. So that takes him down to an 8 for just a couple of positional mishaps, and the yellow card irritated me. However, the boy is just outrageous. Like the assist was just ridiculous. He was the guy on the pitch that was at the same quality as the Man City players. Like, he matched Rodri, in my opinion. He absolutely matched Rodri. Rodri is one of the best midfielders on the planet at what he does. And I don't think either of them were better than each other yesterday. I think Bruno was well up there. Like, I don't think he was better than Rodri in that game, but I don't think either of them were better than each other. I think they were pretty much neck and neck with their ability. He's a freak. I mean, it was a 10 performance, and he's lost points because he's done silly things that are in his own control. So he gets an 8. However, he could have got a 10 if he'd have just switched on a bit more and not done a tackle. He didn't have to do that tackle. He could have chosen that. I know every player can make choices on everything they do, but that's a stupid comment, really. But it's well within him. He's one of those players that can get 10s nearly every week if he really is up for it.
I mean, the Man City fans are actually calling him dirty. They think he should have been sent off, but
really,
foul, for the slight tap on Rodri's toe, without any self-awareness at all of what Rodri actually got away with after his yellow card.
What about Rodri's second incident after he'd already been booked? I mean, surely we could see.
Plus the descent, plus all the waving the arms, clapping the ref, all that stuff. Yeah, I thought Rodri should have been well sent off the pitch yesterday. Bruno, for me, yeah, the ball for the goal. Phenomenal vision, phenomenal technique. It really was. It was like watching Glenn Hoddle again. It was fantastic. A fantastic pass. So yeah, I think 8's a fair score. Like you've said, a yellow card we could have done without. Didn't need to do it. And he does get kind of brought out, but he's not 6. We know he's not 6. He's playing in the 6 role because he's the only one that can do it out of the 3 that's there. So yeah, plus as the goat says there, he's missed kicking foot in the goal where he should have scored. Yeah, real bad time to miss kick.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah, but
eight's
that's
fair.
difficult to blame, and
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
because it's Miggy and him. Who do you blame there? It's tricky. That's just about knowing your teammate, and it's a tricky.
I think eight's fair. I think he had a very good game, and like you say, on another day he could have got a 10. Go to the right of him, Lewis Miley now.
See, I've seen a couple of comments throughout this show that said he wasn't great, and it was his. Somebody said it was his worst game for us. I don't think that. I thought it was okay. It was a really tough game for him. There were games pre-Sunderland. Who was it? Was it the Forest game? It might have been the Forest game. I can't remember specifically, where he really struggled to impose himself physically on the game. He just the game was beyond him at that point. Whereas against City, I felt like he sorted that out. He was in the game physically to a point. 16 out of 24 passes isn't great, but again, it is Man City at the end of the day. People criticizing our passing, and every footballer should be able to pass the ball. It's Man City. Like, come on, they're blocking passing lanes, they're pressing. They're the best team in the world. Like, it happens. His data's not great, but I kind of liked it for his age and considering the context of the situation. I thought he was okay. At no point did I watch the game and go, he is nowhere near good enough for this game. He wasn't amazing. He wasn't a perfect player to go and win the game, but for a 17-year-old, he was fine. He didn't have people running rings around him. He retained the ball well. He picked passes out. I thought he was really solid. I only give him a 7 just because I think for 17-year-olds putting that performance in the middle of the park against Man City deserves a bit of credit. So I only give him a 7.
I think it's fair. I think the one ball that he put through for Isak, which is just cut out at the last minute. You know, if that had got past the defender, Isak was it clean in on goal. Some of his passing's fantastic, you've got to say. Between him and Longstaff, we've got a great player. Unfortunately, they're both lacking in certain parts of the game. I don't think Lewis Miley is physically up to it yet, but he's 17, and he will be. There's no doubt about it. It's going to be a star. 7 for me for Miley also. Longstaff, I'll go first with Longstaff. I thought his work rate was fantastic, but his technical stuff, not quite at the races, not good enough to be against Man City anyway. But he's he's a valued member of the squad, and it's unfair for him that he's playing in the wrong position for him. I think he wants to be on the right hand side of midfield and can't because Lewis Miley's there, and Lewis Miley certainly can't play on the left hand side. So I'll give Longstaff a 6. Stato.
Interesting. He was okay in parts. And that's it. He was okay. He was adequate in parts, and that was it. There were people saying about Eddie Howe. It's Eddie Howe's fault we've not progressed as a passing team. Billy, do you want to make a guess at how many passes Sean completed yesterday?
3, 4, not many.
8. So Bruno's was in the 30s. Miley got like 16. Longstaff got 8. 8 accurate passes. Do you know how many duels did he win?
Not many. I don't think.
1.
Oh, that's poor.
Just the one.
The eye, to me, I always watch Longstaff because he does a lot of unseen work as far as I can tell. And he does.
Yeah, I agree.
Getting faces and stuff, you know.
Yeah, getting in faces, blocking passing lanes. There's a lot of stuff off the ball. That doesn't get talked about. There are things that he does that you can't quantify in data. How many times has he blocked a passing lane so they've had to switch it? How many times has he pressed so they've had to go backwards? That doesn't, you can quantify that in data with pressures and stuff, but it's a lot harder. We start to get really technical, and people don't care about that because it's too complicated. But the main bits of the game, the winning your physical duels, retaining the ball, passing it around, it's what we needed. It's what would have won us the game yesterday if we could have had a bit more of the ball. And the game was, in my opinion, too much for Longstaff. Longstaff can be good enough in certain games of this caliber, but he needs support around him. He needed more, he needs Joe Linton there. He needs other players. And there wasn't enough. If you put Longstaff there and you tell him to do everything, he's not good enough to be able to step up to that level. And that's not his fault. He just needs more quality around him to thrive. as Miley will do as well. Maybe not. Miley can show glimpses of quality regardless of who's next to him sometimes. He can do it on his own because he's just got it. Longstaff can't do the quality bits on his own. He needs help. 4. Only over 4.
I think they both need to be on that right-hand side, don't they? And obviously both can't play there. And Longstaff always struggles on the left-hand side, I've got to say. But there we go, Longstaff. So where do we get to now? We're going to the front line now, aren't we? So we'll start on the right-hand side. We'll start with Miggy.
Miggy can have. Oh, I don't know about Miggy. I feel like a 7's a little bit harsh, but an 8 feels maybe a little bit too much. I'll be nice. Why not? I'll give him an 8. Better, much better. Right-footed crosses, more energy, good pressing. Got in the way of himself a few times in that early chance with Bruno, but a lot better. We know what his limitations are, but there was more. He was a little bit more careful with the ball, using his right foot. Pressing was tidy. He's cleaned up a few of those things that were an issue 2 weeks ago. He's cleaned it all up. He was better against Sunderland and he was better against City. It's not world class, but it was much better. And we will win games and we'll beat most people if Miggy plays like that. So it's fine. It's enough. I'll give him an 8. It was a good game for him. Yeah,
it seems to me to be a confidence player, and the game against lower leagues opposition just last week against the Mackhams has done him the world of good, I think. And he looks a different player again yesterday. You know, going again, he's got a centre half against him, so he knows he can go past him with pace. Getting the ball with his right foot has started to be a bit more of a trend for him, which is good. So yeah, I think 8's a fair score for him because I think he had a really, really good game. His work rate can never be questioned, and he's created quite a lot of havoc for the Man City back four yesterday. So 8's fair. Gordon on the other side, Stowe.
I do just want to point out because this guy's been very negative for the last 2 days. I mean, we're rating him for this one match. So rate him for the match and explain why. If you're going to give him a low rating, explain why, and then we'll entertain the comment. Whereas, you know, there's no point in us just saying this guy's not good enough or this guy's really good. It's a match by match thing. You know, some of these players, we smashed PSG with half of this team. So they're obviously good at certain things and they're professional footballers. It's more about, you know, the details. It's just pointless just going, oh, he's really good or he's really bad. Helps no one. Gordon, sorry.
Yeah, go Gordon. Go. Yeah, go on, you go.
I'm going to give him a 9 because I've given Miggy an 8 and he was better than Miggy, so I've got to give him a 9. I've kind of trapped myself there. Yeah, Gordon gets a 9 for his tenacity. It wasn't his fault in the first goal. It is what it is. He took his goal extremely well. A little bit shame that he ran out of steam physically. He did need to come off and he came off at the right time. I really liked his post-match interview as well. I think he's matured a little bit. I think he's in with a good group of lads. I think the coaching staff have settled him down. He seems like quite an insightful young man. He understands what his role is, the team, and I like him. And I really liked his performance as well. I'm going to give him a 9. I think he's great. Brilliant.
Well, for the goal alone, you're going to give him high marks. It was a fantastic finish. And he's given Kyle Walker a hell of a time again. Second time on the trot at St James's for him. Just a terrific finish. He's a workhorse, isn't he? But he's also got lots of technical stuff with it. So, fantastic player. Should really be in the England squad. No doubt about it. 9 out of 10 is a fair score for him. And then finally, the Swede, Super Swede. Alexander Isak style.
The Super Swede. Yeah. Yeah, we need to get into a position where everybody's been talking about this and that everybody's completely right. When we get a better 11 and we can give Isak more service and you know, retain the ball more so he's not as tired, this guy is going to score 30 goals a season. He's a freak as well. He's like Botman, but the other end of the pitch. A little bit frustrated with one of the chances. I think he might have been able to have done better. But again, when he's got some fresh legs, the sharpness, the how clinical he is, he's great. He's just outrageous. And the goal was brilliant. He opened the scoring. It's what you want. You want the guy leading the line to go and score a goal like that. I mean, yeah, fine. We mentioned this earlier. It was a great ball from Bruno, but Isak still had a hell of a lot of work to do. There was a long way to carry the ball. There was 2 defenders next to him, and you got the goalkeeper to contend with, and the angle. There was loads he had to get right, and he got all of it right. He did just fall off a cliff physically in the second half, which is down to, well, I say it's down to us. It is also against Man City, because I think even with a stronger squad, Man City are going to have the lion's share of possession. So we could maybe just do with Isak, maybe being a bit better physically. Hopefully we'll see that in the next month with fewer games. But I need to give him a mark. 9.
Yeah, I mean, that goal alone. But he had another great chance afterwards, didn't he, where he put through on that right-hand side of the penalty area. And Ortega stood up tall to him, didn't he? And he tried to blast it past him. Maybe a chip would have been the order of the day there. The GOAT 1892 says there. But for that goal, and again, he did run out of steam. But I mean, it's not often you see the Man City back 4 shitting themselves over a centre forward, and they were yesterday definitely doing that about Isak. 9's fair. Only one substitute, Lewis Hall for Gordon, was on about 10-15 minutes. Can we give him a mark?
For Lewis Hall?
Yeah. I'm not sure he can. I'm not sure if it did touch the ball. He got caught out once, didn't he?
We'll just keep it simple and just give him a 6.
A bog standard 6, yeah.
A little bit above average. He looked okay. I think we need to use him maybe a tiny bit more, but
I agree. And Eddie Howe as the manager. How do we mark him? It's a hard one to kind of mark, I think.
I mean, I think the only questionable thing in my mind is why not bring Parkinson on for legs up front, and why not bring Hall on 10 minutes earlier? Those are the only real questions in my mind. Possibly bring Lascelles on and change the shape, but that's quite extreme. So you can't criticize a manager for that. So maybe for Parkinson and Hall, I think there's a couple of conversations we can have, but then I think he changed things tactically. He did all the right things. He tried to make the midfield compact. He blocked the space. He coached it properly. He gave the right advice, and the players just couldn't do it. It is a personnel. I think it's an issue of personnel. I think the manager did the right thing. I think the game management was okay. I don't know what more he could have done realistically, apart from, again, Parkinson and Hall as a conversation. I genuinely, if for people giving him 6s and stuff, please explain to me what could Eddie Howe have done any better.
Lee says, give Eddie an extra point for not bringing Parkinson on. I think that's unfair. I think that's really unfair. Anyone that can run would have been better than Alexander Isak yesterday for the last 10-15 minutes. It's not a case of scoring 30-yard volleys and bending in the top corner. It was just keeping again, it's the same argument we make for PSG. Oh, God.
I tell you what, I do have. I mean, this is the thing. These are the kind of comments we're getting now. I mean, Yano, fair enough. It's a fair comment. You can, but when this is what he's got left on the bench. When we're saying things like this, it means he's got sod all to choose from. When we're saying, why don't we bring Emil Kraft into midfield for the last 15 minutes? That just sums up the limited options he had as a manager. I feel like you've proved our point here. I mean, not that I'm disagreeing with you. It's a fair question. However, exactly. The fact that we're asking that means he's got no options. He did everything he probably could, in my opinion, both tactically and substitutions are maybe a couple of things you can point to, but you can't expect him to play a back 5. I don't even know. What would I score him? I mean, I'll give him a 7. I want to give him a bit more, but we didn't win the game. So, but what do you do as a manager when De Bruyne comes on and does that? Like, it's ridiculous. He coached his midfield to be compact, and they didn't do it.
I mean, I'm critical of Eddie Howe. I don't need much kind of ammunition to be critical, but I don't think he can be that critical, apart from the substitutes that we've alluded to. So, yeah, I'm going to give him a 7 as well. I thought, on the whole, he did pretty well. I would have made the changes, but I've got to say, I would have made them earlier as well. But one last point before we go, right at the very end of the game, there was a shout for handball, and I thought nothing of it. I didn't, VAR, they didn't show a replay of it, and I don't think VAR looked at it. I've seen it on social media, and I've
seen the same thing.
It wasn't even looked at. 2 hands as well. It's not even one, it's 2 hands, isn't it?
Right, before we disappear, I'm right. We'll read it out. How is a good coach, but as a manager, crap? Lack of options is an excuse. He's done this even with options on the bench. That's not true. Explain it to me. Provide the evidence. For months, we've had games. We've had 3 or 4 goalkeepers like in the match day squad. It's nonsense, mate. We've had Diallo, Parkinson, 3 goalkeepers, Dummett, Matt Ritchie. That's been the bench. It's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. Unless you can provide a screenshot or explain a game in which we've had a good bench and he's not used it, then I'll shut up. But I just don't think that exists. I think that's nonsense.
Chris is asking for a picture. Just go on social media, mate. You'll see it. It's actual film.
Yeah,
so
it looks like a handball. It's a little clip, and it does 100% look like a handball.
It's two-handed as well. It's not even one. It's that. It's that kind of action.
It's not a great angle, but it does from the angle provided looks like a handball.
And Miggy was furious. At the time, I can remember him kind of arms up, shouting about it. 3 or 4 of the Newcastle players, it wasn't even looked at, which is odd in my opinion. Anyway, that will come to the end of the show. We've got through an hour. Sad result, really. I thought we were much better yesterday. Lots more effort. I think
we play like that, we'll beat most teams.
And I was just about to say, I think we can be pretty pleased with what our future is going to bring to us, because I think if more games played at that level, I think we'll win a lot more games than we lose. Absolutely. So that's that. I mean, we've come to the end. I don't know what we're doing tomorrow night. Probably be a transfer show. I'm not sure. Maybe just keep your eye on the socials. Yeah. Keep your eye on the socials for what we'll be doing during the week. We've got 2 weeks off now. No games for 2 weeks, so it's going to be hard to get.
Is it 2 weeks? We've not got games. Hang on a minute.
Content, yeah.
Let's have a look. What we got? So we've got Fulham away on the 27th of Jan. I mean, this is great for the lads squad wise. So, but we'll have to keep busy with transfer shows of all the players we're linked with, which at the moment is not a lot. So
so there's not a lot.
As soon as we get information,
we'll find something. On your way out, though, folks, can I just say, hit that thumbs up button. It really does help us. Helps us in the search engine on YouTube and brings like-minded fans in to join our community, which is what we're all after at the end of the day. But that's it. We've come to the end of the show. Let me just cue this up. So until tomorrow, I wish you a good night. That's how you can do my bit.
Away the lads and lasses.
And we shall see you soon. Good evening, folks.
Come back and check on some green.